And we're supposed to be live. Hello, everybody in chat. Hello, Nils and Tomas. We are live for the first time with the League Lounge, and we're just 6 minutes late because of some tech snafus. And that's part of Session Zero. As you will know, Session Zero is a tabletop name or lingo we use to explain when things goes wrong. So I would like to welcome everyone to the League Lounge, which is a new cool thing that we're trying out here at Free League Gaming because we wanted a reason to talk about games, especially Free League games. And my name is Ellinor, and I will be your host for these sessions. And today with me, I have, I think, I hope you are well-known characters in the Free League universe, as you are the founders of Free League. Nils, Karlén, and Tomas Härenstam. Yay!
Hello, great to be here. So I'm Nils and Tomas.
Yay! Yeah. And also, chat, please let us know if you can hear us. Because we are not entirely sure about the audio levels yet. So yeah, if you guys have any issues, just let us know and we'll take care of it. Maybe not today though. We'll see. So Nils and Tomas, thank you by the way for inviting me to do this. I am very excited, and I've been watching a couple of interviews with the two of you, especially in English. And my first question was basically, what is it like to have someone to actually not apologize for immediately pronouncing your name incorrectly? Like, I feel like every American interview, it's like, yeah, this is Thomas. I'm so sorry, Härenstam. You know.
Yeah, that's kind of every time. But usually they get it kind of right, but then they apologize anyway. So it's kind of
I know.
But yeah,
I know.
This is good. This is good. We can do it.
Yeah.
I think the strangest thing is that a lot of people, for some reason in English, call me Tomas. I'm not sure what that is. It's like
could be
it's
French.
Maybe like more like it's like Spanish or something.
Oh, maybe
sure.
Tomas.
I kind of like it. I might
Tomas,
start going with it.
Yeah.
Tomas.
Actually, we often get emails to Fria Ligan as a person. And often it's like, Dear Mrs. Ligan.
Yeah. Maybe we should
stuff
change
like that.
the emails. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Right.
For those of you who might wonder, Free League means Fria Ligan in Swedish. It's an exact translation, I would say. Right? Or league would league be Ligan? Yeah. Yep.
It is
pretty much.
And it's stolen from one of our games, which is kind of strange now, but it seemed like a good idea at the time.
For those of us who are new at this, tell me that story. What game and how was it stolen?
It's actually Coriolis, which was first published by another company back in 2008 or something?
Yeah, 7 or 8.
Yeah. And we were huge fans of that game. So when we started Fria Ligan or Free League back in 2009, 10 or something like that, we wanted to pay homage to that company and the game. So we took the name of one of the factions in Coriolis, which is Free League, Fria Ligan in Swedish. This became a little bit problematic when they soon afterwards asked us to take over production of the game. So we basically we called ourselves as one of the factions in the game. It's kind of stupid, but now it's stuck, and this is what we're called right now. So it's basically one of the groups in that game which you can experience and intrigue.
I think I think that's like naming is always a tricky thing. It's like you want to start a band and then coming up with a cool name is always one of those tricky things. But speaking a little bit about when you guys founded Free League, what was it like? Where I get a lot of questions on how to have this as a career, basically creating games and being a person who works with a hobby. Where did you two come from before you decided to do Free League, or was this just a like organic evolution from where you were already?
No, I don't know. It's a bit of a strange road, I guess. I think we both started playing RPGs very early. I think like a lot of other people. and started writing RPGs really early as well. I think that kind of went hand in hand, like just, weeks or months after starting playing RPGs as an 11-year-old, I think I started writing them. I think that kind of just went together. And after that, I just kind of kept on doing that. Not all the time. I had like a fairly long pause when I was like 25, 30 or something like that. But yeah, and then we started picking it up, doing freelancing for Jan Ringen, who did the original Coriolis game and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of how we got together and started first freelancing, or not really freelancing because we were not paid anything. We just wrote stuff. Then we actually did some actual freelancing, and then we started publishing our own stuff and for fun. And then they kind of just grew from there. So there was never a grand plan. We didn't know each other. It just kind of happened.
Yeah. I didn't think we expect that we could make a living of it. I think we just did it because we really wanted to do stuff. And actually, one of the first meetings we had with the guys in the old company, Jan Ringen, one of the first things they said to us was, "Do you expect to ever be able to live on this?" And it was like a trick question. If we would have said yes, then they would like, "Oh, it's too naive." But it was we said no back then. But that was another time. It was before Kickstarter. It was before the internet kind of made things easier than it is today. So we come a long way in that sense.
Was there a pivotal moment where you were like, "Holy crap, we can actually make this into a career for ourselves"? Or was there like, as I remember one of your Kickstarters, I think it was maybe the One Ring that made a lot of money on Kickstarter, or was it before that, or?
I think I didn't quite ever get kind of the realization that I can live on this. I don't think I still believe that. I'm just waiting for that kind of illusion to that it's clearly this is just stupid. You can't make a living doing this.
This is a fantasy.
I was actually asked exactly. So I was actually trying to hold on to my real job before.
Real
until
job, yeah.
The manager told me you really need to quit your job and and do Free League instead, because this doesn't work. Clearly, you're not, your heart is not here. It should be doing Free League. And I was like, but I can't quit my job. That doesn't make sense. So he kind of made me go. So that was not the plan either. It just kind of went that way. But I think a few years earlier, we kind of realized there was actually, this could be something more than a very, very small hobby thing. I think that was actually around the time when we did Simon Stoldenhag's first, the Kickstarter for his art book, and then for the Tales from the Loop RPG. I think those Kickstarters were the ones that kind of changed the game for us. And made it kind of, this is actually a thing. This is actually pretty big.
Yeah, I even remember that because that's, I think, where it was my first encounter with you guys too, because I was a fan of Simon's work before. And then I was like, wait a second, there's an art book, oh cool, coming out. And then eventually Tales from the Loop and all that, and that was but truly what obviously pulled me in was Vaesen, because it was set in like it was a cool little serendipitous, I can't even say that word, why am I even trying, but it was a very cool circumstance. But we have some questions here from chat asking, where did that flower-like logo come from for Free League?
I can actually answer that. The logo is also from the same period of time when we were freelancers, and we didn't really have like a company in mind. We just wanted to do some basic print-on-demand modules back in 2009, I think. So we choose the name Fria as an homage to the Jan Ringen company and Coriolis. And we chose the logo because that's supposedly a lily, the flower lily, because one of the guys in the old company is called Matthias Lilja, and that is Lilja is lily in English. So we took his name and made a logo of it. I don't know why we did it, but it was just an idea. So the flowers has always been like kind of part of the Coriolis brand, and we just thought it looked pretty nifty.
I just want to say I was not part of this at all. So this, don't blame me. This was before I was even,
Yeah,
there.
It was basically we just sat around the computer and like, oh, we can do a flower. That's cool. Flower and lily. Yeah, this sticks together. So
Yeah.
basically,
So when we have been discussing, obviously before this schedule, trying to schedule these sessions, and you guys mentioned that every Tuesday you have game night, and then you added a little smiley. And I was like, is that a game night or is it like something else, but like a beer night? But anyway, I was just curious, or actually happy to hear that you guys are playing while working with this, because I think that's very hard for a lot of people who work with with their hobby, basically, is to still have the hobby. And so I was wondering, do you guys play your own games, or do you try out, like, what would a typical game night look like for you guys at Free League?
It can vary a bit. We had one last night, and that was one of our own games, because we do quite a bit of play testing during these Tuesday night sessions. So we played Twilight 2000, the upcoming module, yesterday. There were some boats.
There were some boats.
There were some firefights.
Yep.
People died.
No.
But then we also play other things. We play some really old stuff.
Yeah.
We played like the original, maybe not the. Which one was it? Like Early Traveler? I don't remember.
A classic Traveler, the one from the 70s we played recently.
Yeah.
And we played James Bond, the old Twilight 2000. So basically, we try to mix up, play test our own games, test new games from other publishers, but also do this kind of game archaeology thing where we try something really old that we are like intrigued by, and see what we like and we don't like. We played a really fun campaign in the Indiana Jones RPG a couple of months ago. It was hilarious. It was like really pretty cool, actually, and it's like an ancient system that I don't think basically nobody played even back in the day. But it's quite fun to have this mix and to try to see what we like and what we can be inspired by when we design stuff.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, I would love. I was actually wondering about that, because I think Nils and we met in Gotland this past summer, and we were talking about IPs that we would love to see it become a game. Again, because you guys obviously have huge titles like Aliens, Lord of the Rings, and all that. And I was like Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones, but then I think you and I talked about like Jurassic Park, like, how do we do that? How do you role play? How do you make that into a fun role playing game? Because the whole thing about Jurassic Park is that it's hard for a GM, honestly, to be a dinosaur.
It's hard to portray dinosaurs in a manner that's something like horrifying.
Exactly, and that's actually possible. That's, I think, me coming from like doing a lot of horror podcasts / but still doing it comedic, like comedic horror. I think there's such an interesting balance with that because Jurassic Park is obviously more a horror movie, and I would feel like if you can't do that, then it just gets campy and weird. And it's like, no, there's the done dinosaur. It would feel like me playing with my toddler, and that's not really what I want from my role-playing games.
No. But I think like certain IPs are very, very suitable for role-playing games. I mean, the prime example of our games is probably Alien, which is, I think, is just something that people who look at this, watch the movies, and can very easily just put themselves in the frame of mind of the movies, and it lends itself very well to this kind of short format RPG thing. But other properties are really hard to translate, so it's very, very different regarding the property.
Yeah, speaking of Alien, because it's like you said, it's a short format RPG. Because no spoilers for Alien, but usually a lot of people die in a short amount of time, and it's not that many survivors. It's not a happy My Little Pony ending, but some people do. Like, I'm a big fan of campaigns and long form, like working on a story for years. So do you feel like there's a lot of Do you feel like there's a lot of because you did release the campaign option for Alien? Did you feel like that was sort of against what you initially wanted, or do you feel like that was an organic step to take?
I think we always had that in mind, to have both. I mean, because it's you kind of had to, because on the one hand we wanted to give players the kind of Alien movie experience, which is kind of the cinematic mode. But then we also wanted to use the RPG. That was always the idea, to kind of deep dive into the Alien universe, and there's a lot of stuff there. There's so much been done for 40 years.
Yeah.
And doing that is better done in a campaign format. So I think that was actually the plan from the beginning, as far as I remember, to have those two separate modes of play.
Yeah. We're getting a lot of love from chat regarding Dragonbane.
Nice. I saw that. That's nice.
Yeah. Dragonbane is one of your, I would say, one of your biggest releases, because it's sort of the OG for Swedes like us. We know what it means. It's basically the original Swedish role-playing game that's coming back. Drakar and Demoner. Some people have also commented on why it was translated to Dragonbane and not Dragons and Demons. I don't know if you want to get into that, but
most people understand why.
Yeah, that would really work. But it's great to see that a lot of people who are not from Sweden are also kind of discovering and enjoying Dragonbane. That's been a lot of fun to see. So
every American I've talked to loves it, because it has a very nice. It's very straightforward. I have obviously, because I'm doing videos for you guys, making tutorial videos, I've really tried to learn the rules for once of a game system. But I mean, I'm noticing, I'm like, actually, this makes a lot of sense for once, because usually things doesn't make sense to me until I try it 60 times. So I think you guys really nailed it in that sense. You kept it easily accessible, but still not feeling like it's a children's game.
We should mention those videos that you're doing. I mean, I think 2 of them are already on the website, and you're doing more.
We're doing one on.
That's good. They're looking good. So we'll have some more up pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, combat and exploration is coming up. That was a lot of fun to record. We'll see. So I'm opening up for questions from chat. We will try to keep these league lounges. We will keep them a little bit more. Like we might not want to discuss like upcoming, like when's this release date and when is that happening, that kind of stuff, because we will have newsletters for that. But if you guys have questions regarding, behind the scenes, especially if you have, personal questions to Nils and Tomas, like not personal in relation to Free League, you can ask those types of questions. And see here. But everyone seems to really I'm seeing a lot of love for Dragonbane and Vaesen, but that's also because they know that I love Vaesen most of all. But it's also like, Tomas, you said it was one of your favorite games too.
Vaesen, yeah, definitely. It's kind of grown into that. I always enjoyed the idea of it, and of course the artwork was always great. But it's become one of those games that I've been more and more engaged with, and I do some of the writing that I do for our games is for Vaesen. So I'm really kind of enjoying the part. I enjoy kind of the part where you can kind of use your local knowledge of local legends and stuff to kind of build stories. I think that's nice.
I think it's also a very cozy game. I like that it's kind of like a warm, a little bit. We always said cozy horror when we did the game, and it's like this. Sure. It's horror, but it's not this kind of angsty stuff. It's much more like romantical, almost in a sense, which I think is very nice as a change from all grimdark stuff.
The 19th century setting really helps, but although, I mean, I guess Cthulhu is 20s, but 19th century, there's something very cozy about, at least for us Swedes, because we have a lot of children's books were set in that time, and like that's, so for me it was very easy to sort of marry that with horror, because it's like It's Astrid Lindgren, the woman who wrote Pippi Longstocking for our English fans. She also made like a lot of these books about young girls and boys in the 19th century and early 1900s. But then it's like, but what if there's a huge ghost killing all of us, at the same time? So it's, like you said, very cozy horror. Is there an actual play series planned for Dragonbane? You had a question.
Well, we have done some actual plays. I think we did a short one with the Glass Cannon last year, but I guess we don't have any kind of official thing planned at the moment. Usually, the actual plays are kind of done by others, and sometimes we work with them, cooperate with them, and sometimes it's just completely independent from us, and it just kind of pops up, which is a lot of fun to see. So we'll see. I think there will be definitely actual plays more. There are several out there, and I think definitely there will be more for Dragonbane and other games. But I don't think we are not planning on producing something at the moment.
No.
It's kind of one of those things that kind of happen anyway, which is kind of, and it's better that way because we're not good at.
No, we try to focus on what we're good at. So we're really not actual play people that can do that ourselves.
There's a lot of questions regarding, updates regarding specific games. I'm thinking you guys will release newsletters as you have updates, but there's like, people are asking about Forbidden Lands, Symbaroum, Coriolis, all these titles. But
I mean,
we can definitely, talk in general terms about those games.
I mean, we could just start with one question we get asked a lot, and that is about what's happening with Coriolis. What's next for Coriolis? And I mean, we can't say that much right now, but what we can say is something big is happening on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. So something will happen soon, and we will reveal something. We can't say right now what it is, but it will be very cool, I think, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it.
Very
watch
interesting.
This space. Yeah.
Tuesday, everybody, for Coriolis news. See here, we had a good question about. Damn it! This is exactly what I feared would happen. Now I get lost immediately. Well, this is me. I mean, I'm sure people are super interested in watching me read chat. Well, you guys, chat, please ask questions again. If I haven't seen them, it means that I haven't. I've lost it immediately. Let's take one of my questions. Oh, actually, this is the question. Briefly, could you talk about how to actually acquire these big IPs? Like, what's the process like? Do you reach out to Disney or whoever is, the IP holder for Alien or The One Ring, etc.?
Yeah, I think actually one of the questions was specifically how we thought of and got Blade Runner and Alien, and that was on the restaurant. Do you remember?
Oh yeah. But yeah, it was kind of a coincidence though, because a lot of factors just kind of coincided.
Yeah,
I think this is 4, 5, 6 years ago. We just had kind of a brainstorm of what kind of licenses or IPs we would love to turn into RPGs, and that was just for fun. There was no reality connected to it. And I think we had Alien and Blade Runner on the top 5 lists.
Yeah, no, I think they actually were number 1 and number 2.
I think so. Yeah. And then a lot of things just kind of happened, and we have not done this alone. We're working with Joe LaFavi, who is in Hollywood, and he's kind of does these things, these kinds of deals or these kinds of agreements, and he works in licensing, and he loved our games, it turned out. And it seemed like we reached out to him, and he had been reaching out to us through a mutual contact or something.
Yeah.
So, and for those 2 games, that was the way in, because basically he had those contacts. We had kind of the game design, and that kind of worked out really well. we work with him also for The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Whereas The One Ring is a completely different story. There was an earlier edition, obviously, that we did not publish, but then they were doing a new edition, and for reasons that I don't even know, they were not continuing with the previous publisher. So that meant that the designer Francesco and also the licensor Sophisticated Games were looking for another publisher, and then we're talking to various ones. And I think Francesco met you and Martin, I think.
Yeah, at Essen.
At Essen.
2019, maybe? I don't remember.
Something like
that. Yeah. So we met him there.
SM is...
The big Essen Spiel is a big, like the biggest board game and RPG fair in the world, basically. Mostly board games, but also RPGs.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we met him there, and he was a fan of Forbidden Lands, and we started talking about that, and then he thought we could be a suitable publisher for The One Ring. So that was really exciting for us, because we played the first edition of The One Ring and really liked it. So it was really cool to be able to publish such a modern classic, which I think it is.
So a follow-up question: would you ever allow third-party licenses off of these IPs, or I'm assuming they have protection, because you have the open license for your Year Zero games.
Right. Yeah, that's a bit tricky, because we have the Free League Workshop for community content for most of our games, and then we have, of course, for Dragonbane and Year Zero Engine, other open licenses that you can actually publish anywhere. But the tricky thing is, for the big licensed games, everything that is published under, say, Alien or The One Ring or something like that needs to be approved by a licensor. And of course, a third-party program like that's exactly what is not happening, because that's kind of the whole idea, that you can publish things for a game without having it approved by the license owner, and that doesn't really work with a big licensed game. So that's generally not possible for those games, but it is. We're doing it for a lot of the other games, which is a lot of fun. For the Dragonbane license is definitely taking off, and there is lots of stuff happening, and we're planning on doing it for more games as we kind of move along.
Nice.
I just want to... Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, add on to that.
I saw an interesting question here from Taffy Saint about how did the Year Zero engine evolve and become the de facto house system for our games. I think that's a pretty good story, because it wasn't the plan.
That was never really the plan. The Year Zero engine, as we're calling it now, was just the game system that mainly I was tinkering with when we were working on Mutant Year Zero. It was actually even before then. I was just tinkering with a game that was kind of called Year Zero, because we didn't even have the Mutant license at that time, even though it was always kind of intended for that. But then that was our first kind of license, or at least our first real license was the Mutant license. So we did Mutant Year Zero, and that kind of happened. And then we were doing Coriolis, and it needed rules. We had no intention of using the same rules, similar rules as in Mutant. So we tried lots of different systems, and nothing really clicked.
We actually wrote a full book, a full rule set using the Fate rules, which was very popular like 10 years ago, still popular. And we did this, and then when we kind of looked at it, we were like, this doesn't work. This is not good. Wasn't a good fit. So afterwards, after we had that kind of we totally scrapped that edition, the Fate edition. That's when we were like, why won't we use what we have? And started doing that. And that worked out well. So
yeah, on that topic, there was a previous question about what features, when you're developing systems, for example, when you develop Dragonbane and also other games that you made the system your entirety of yourself, what features do you decide, this is not working or this is working, we want to expand on this? Can you tell me a little bit about game development, I guess, game system development?
Yeah, it's always I think the core idea is always to make a game system that kind of works with the themes of the game, the kinds of stories that we want to tell. And we felt that the Year Zero engine at its core, it's fairly straightforward. The very basic mechanic is very easily adapted to various settings and stories. And then how you adapt it is really where it becomes a specific system for that game. So and that's kind of how we've been doing it now. That kind of became our default way of doing things. But then, of course, Dragonbane changed that, because for that game, we decided to use a different system. And that was mainly the original reason for doing that, is that we felt that this was still, though, a new edition of Dragonbane, a classic Swedish RPG. And we felt that ripping out that old system completely and replacing it with something very different like the Year Zero engine would be a step too far, probably for at least that community. So we decided to kind of work with the system that is not identical to the old games, but kind of has that shared core. But then we started working with that, so that turned into a different system. But there are definitely aspects from the Year Zero engine that we kind of smuggled into Dragonbane as well. So it's kind of it's a new thing, but it has a different kind of heritage. But that was a lot of fun to do something that had other types of challenges involved.
Yeah, I think we're unfortunately running out of time. But chat is very excited to hear more about your future plans for most of your titles. But rest assured that newsletters will come out. Is there? I mean, but just I don't know if you want to say this definitely now, but are there any games that definitely won't get an update, like that you have basically canceled, just so people know?
Yeah. Not really. I guess the only ones that are very, I think that's fairly safe to say, our very first two games that were only published in Swedish are most likely probably not getting more content. I think that's not very likely. None of them have had any new content published for the last 10 years. I don't think anyone is expecting.
No, that would be
a bit of a shocker.
It would be a twist.
Yeah.
Listen,
no, for the other titles, I don't think there is any line that we have kind of canceled or are definitely not doing anything more for. But still, of course, we have quite a few game lines, so we can't prioritize all of them at the same time. We kind of have to focus on one more than some others. And I think that's probably fairly obvious which ones are that. But I don't think there's any line that we're definitely not doing anything more for ever. I wouldn't say that.
No.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're trying to also make sure that we have like a steady stream of supplements for our games as well. So we don't just, so there's like a line for them. And we have lots of games that have like plenty of modules, like for example, Symbaroum. We try to like spread it out a bit so we have like a good support for all our lines.
Of course.
So that's what we're doing forward.
Good news all around, but it might mean that people with their favorite title might wait a couple of months, years to hear anything specific about that specific title, which is normal for a small publishing company.
We kind of tried to have at least one title for each game line every year.
Yeah.
Some of them hopefully like two releases, but at least something every year for every game. I think that's kind of the goal.
I think like I feel like I get newsletters from you guys all the time about. I'm like, I mean, for me, it's more like I don't have any time to catch up with any of it. so for me, it's I'm like, oh my god, there's another Alien module coming out now. And then also, I think you recently released Mutant Zero. I forget the name now, of course, but I have actually never played Mutant, which I'm ashamed to admit. Adastra.
Mutant Year Zero, Adastra. Yeah, it's the space module for Mutant Year Zero, which is actually, it was promised the first time for the Swedish audience back in the 80s. Yeah. So we kind of, so it's finally happening. Something that lots of Swedes have been waiting for, like.
We announced it even in English 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those things that just took a bit of time.
Yeah.
So for our non-Swedish audience, just rest assured that the Swedes, they waited longer than you, or for their favorite title. Something. So with that said, I wanted to obviously thank the two of you again for this wonderful time. We will be hosting these monthly, but we will have different guests every time. I think next is actually Nils again coming up. We'll have more info on that.
And it might be sooner than a month as well.
It might be exactly. This was a session 0. This was the unofficial start to just figure out if we can actually do it, and we can. I think this was a success, but we will be trying to host these, and so if you, I'm thinking we'll have plenty of time to talk to people before, like what we're gonna discuss, so people can come prepared with questions and thoughts, etc., for that session. So next time, if we're talking about something specific, I don't want to spoil anything, but if they want to, have questions for that session, then
maybe we should put up like something on the forums. Like
that's a good idea. Yeah,
a forum for this show, so people can post questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
And even come do post some feedback maybe and stuff. We could do different. Yeah. So we'll do that.
Feedback,
we'll put up
always
a forum.
That's a good idea.
You can always
do that.
email as well, me. But whatever works. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting, and thank you, chat, everyone who dropped by to say hi. This is very new and very cool and very fun for all of us, and I can't wait to continue to talk about all things Free League. So goodbye, and we'll see you soon.
Yep.
Have a good one, guys.
Talking to you.
See ya.